Have a friend who is multi-talented and looks like a human but also has features of animals? Not really, right? But if you've been searching for people like that to make friends with, then we made this video just for you. Here, we'll introduce you to some real humans who were born with animal-like features and show you how they live, interact, and connect with others. This is an important video, so watch till the end. You might just find exactly what you've been looking for. Number 15. Natasha Demkina. Natasha Demkina, born in 1987 in Russia, developed an unusual ability to detect internal structures of the human body, attracting attention from medical professionals, and the public observers documented her precise descriptions of organs and skeletal alignment, which were tested under controlled conditions in clinics and laboratories. Reports noted her accuracy in identifying anatomical anomalies, with experiments carefully recorded through photographs, medical charts, and observer notes. Testing included the examination of both healthy and affected individuals, with her statements compared to verified imaging and surgical results. Scientific publications focused on measurement accuracy, documentation methods, and experimental repeatability. Demkina's unique condition also influenced studies in human perception and observational skill, contributing data on extraordinary sensory ability. Written and visual records preserve the experiments, allowing verification without relying on personal narrative. Her observations were consistently recorded with attention to anatomical detail, including organ placement, relative size, and structure. This collected material remains a reference for studies in exceptional human perception, providing structured, objective insight into her unusual abilities. Number 14. The Wolf Girl, Amala and Kamala. Amala and Kamala, discovered in India during the 1920s, presented unique physical and behavioral traits associated with prolonged feral living. Observers noted their quadrupedal movement, heightened auditory response, and vocalizations resembling canine sounds. Reports documented limb proportions, muscle development, and skeletal adaptations that facilitated crawling and running on all fours. Hair patterns, skin condition, and posture were recorded through photographs, sketches, and written accounts, maintained by local authorities and visiting physicians. Behavioral assessments focused on feeding, sleep patterns, and responses to human interaction, with systematic notes on cognitive and motor skills. Anthropologists and medical personnel compared limb ratios, joint flexibility, and cranial features to typical developmental norms. Observations included structured daily routines to record mobility, reflexes, and balance, with minimal subjective interpretation. Measurements of body height, arm span, and joint articulation were preserved for study. The compiled records provide objective documentation of human adaptation under extreme environmental conditions, illustrating physiological and behavioral characteristics arising from early life isolation from socialized human contact. Number 13. Erica Eiffel. Erica Eiffel, born in 1968 in the United States, is known for her legal union with the Eiffel Tower, formalized in a symbolic ceremony. Observers documented the event, noting the legal paperwork, public announcements, and photographs capturing the ceremony's details. Media coverage and legal filings provided structured records of the marriage, including dates, locations, and participants involved. Eyewitness accounts described the proceedings, attire, and arrangements, all preserved in visual and written archives. Anthropologists and sociologists referenced the case in studies of unconventional partnerships, documenting interactions, symbolism, and societal response. Reports emphasized procedural elements, focusing on documentation, ceremony structure, and public perception without interpreting personal motivations or emotional experiences. The case includes photographs, signed documents, and recorded interviews that provide objective insight into the event and its legal recognition. Observational records from media and academic sources contribute to structured documentation of non-traditional symbolic unions, offering factual reference points without narrative embellishment or moral commentary. Number 12. Kathy Rigby. Kathy Rigby, born in 1947 in the United States, exhibited hyperflexible joints and limb coordination that drew attention in gymnastics and performance studies. Observers documented her range of motion, noting shoulder rotation, hip extension, and spinal flexibility during routines and training exercises. Photographs, video recordings, and detailed measurement charts captured posture, balance, and skeletal alignment across various gymnastic movements. Physiologists and sports scientists recorded joint angles, force distribution, and limb coordination in controlled practice sessions. Data included timing of movements, repetition counts, and spatial orientation for comparative analysis with normative human biomechanics. Notes emphasized measurable performance metrics, including reaction time, muscular engagement, and endurance, without subjective interpretation of personal motivation or emotional response. Observers tracked adaptation strategies for high-difficulty maneuvers, documenting how skeletal structure and muscular flexibility facilitated complex routines. Archival materials preserve structured observations of her movement mechanics, providing reference for studies in human flexibility, coordination, and applied kinesiology. Number 11. Julia Pastrana. Medical observers in 19th century Mexico recorded Julia Pastrana's hypertrichosis and gingival hyperplasia, producing facial features resembling primate anatomy. Detailed sketches, photographs, and written measurements documented jaw protrusion, lip formation, and tooth alignment. Reports included skeletal structure, limb proportions, and craniofacial dimensions, preserving quantitative anatomical data. Born in 1834, Pastrana's public exhibitions were systematically observed, with notes on posture, gait, mobility, and body hair distribution across the face and limbs. Observers measured joint articulation, cranial angles, and muscle structure, creating precise records for study. Documentation emphasized measurable traits with attention to hair density, facial proportions, and oral morphology, avoiding narrative or moral interpretation. Contemporary medical journals preserved visual and written evidence, offering structured insight into hypertrichosis and craniofacial variation. The compiled data provides one of the earliest systematic studies of a human with these traits, illustrating structured medical observation practices in the 19th century. Number 10. Oscar the Dog-Faced Man, Fedor Jefticheu. Extensive hair covered Fedor Jefticheu's face and body, giving him a canine-like appearance that attracted attention across Europe in the late 1800s. Born in 1868 in Russia, he displayed congenital hypertrichosis, which affected facial features, limb proportions, and skeletal alignment. Photographs, sketches, and exhibition notes captured his posture, jaw structure, and hair density in detail. Jefticheu performed in controlled public displays, with documentation of his movements, muscle tone, and facial expressions maintained systematically. Visitors and physicians recorded joint articulation, limb flexibility, and cranial dimensions, emphasizing precise measurements rather than narrative commentary. Comparative analyses noted similarities and differences to typical human anatomy, with repeated observations across multiple venues. Reports focused on quantifiable physical characteristics, including hair distribution patterns, skeletal structure, and facial morphology. Archival materials, including visual records and written measurements, provide structured insight into hypertrichosis. Number 9. Harry Raymond Eastlack, Jr. Progressive ossification shaped the skeletal development of Harry Raymond Eastlack, Jr., a condition later identified as fibrodysplasia ossificans, progressiva FOP. Born in 1933 in Philadelphia, he experienced a gradual transformation of soft tissue into bone, restricting joint mobility over decades. Medical records, X-rays, and photographs documented the sequential progression of heterotopic bone growth, with measurements tracking limb function, posture, and skeletal alignment. Physicians recorded range of motion data, skeletal deformities, and intervention attempts, preserving structured observations over time. Daily evaluations focused on flexibility, movement limitations, and bone morphology, with repeated measurements to maintain accuracy. East Lack's skeletal condition was later preserved at the Mutter Museum, allowing detailed posthumous study. Notes included comparisons to normative anatomical development, skeletal proportion, and joint articulation. Observers systematically cataloged progression timelines and anatomical changes, emphasizing measurable physical phenomena rather than personal experience or narrative interpretation. Archival data provide one of the most thorough technical accounts of FOP, offering structured insight into the gradual impact of this rare connective tissue disorder on human skeletal anatomy. Number 8. Gottlieb Göttlich. Assigned female at birth, Gottlieb Göttlich displayed anatomical characteristics that later classified the individual as intersex. Born in 1798 in Europe, surgical examinations revealed male reproductive anatomy, prompting extensive study and public exhibitions. Physicians and scholars recorded torso length, limb ratios, musculature, and secondary sexual characteristics, maintaining structured observations across multiple cities. Sketches, written descriptions, and detailed measurements documented posture, limb proportion, and skeletal alignment. Exhibitions followed organized itineraries, allowing repeated observation and comparison of anatomical traits. Reports noted skeletal dimensions, hormonal assessments, and visual documentation, emphasizing precise recording rather than narrative commentary. Contemporary journals included side-by-side comparisons to typical male and female anatomical norms, preserving data for ongoing medical reference. Observers systematically noted physical responses, articulation, and overall morphology, focusing on quantifiable traits. Travel and exhibition records maintained consistency in observation methods, creating a comprehensive archive. The documented material provides historical insight into intersex conditions, illustrating structured measurement practices and observational techniques applied to unusual human anatomy during the early 19th century. Number 7. Henrietta Lacks. Cells extracted from Henrietta Lacks in 1951 became a foundational resource for biomedical research worldwide. Born in 1920 in Roanoke, Virginia, Lacks developed cervical cancer, and samples of her tissue were taken under clinical procedures. Laboratory observations documented the cell's rapid proliferation, morphology, and growth characteristics, allowing repeated culture and experimentation. Detailed records included preparation methods, cellular behavior under varying conditions, and responses to chemical and environmental factors. These HeLa cells provided measurable reference points for studies in virology, oncology, and vaccine development. Observers maintained structured logs of culture techniques, division rates, and sample lineage, emphasizing repeatability and verification without narrative interpretation. Comparative analyses tracked cellular morphology against other samples, preserving quantitative data for long-term research applications. Archival documentation includes photographs, charts, and written protocols, ensuring objective record-keeping. The collected material contributed to standardized biomedical methods, demonstrating the importance of cellular behavior study and laboratory observation. Number 6. Violet Jessop. Repeated maritime incidents highlighted Violet Jessop's experience aboard early 20th century ocean liners. Born in Argentina in 1887, she served as a stewardess on the RMS Titanic, Britannic, and Olympic, enduring multiple collisions and sinkings without critical injury. Ship logs, crew reports, and contemporary accounts recorded her tasks, movements, and responses during emergencies. Observers documented balance, agility, and procedural knowledge while performing routine duties under high-risk conditions. Photographs and written records captured posture, lifting mechanics, and spatial navigation in confined spaces. Measurements of coordination, reaction time, and endurance were systematically recorded to analyze human interaction with maritime hazards. Crew testimonies and operational reports maintained schedules and noted repetitive task performance, offering detailed accounts of movement and efficiency. Archival sources preserve structured observations of her navigation of shipboard environments, emphasizing functional performance rather than personal narrative or emotion. Jessup's records provide empirical data on human adaptability to high-risk conditions, illustrating physical mechanics, balance, and coordination under repeated emergency scenarios. These documents serve as a factual reference for studies of occupational resilience in early 20th century maritime service. Number 5. James Morris. Extreme skin elasticity defined James Morris's anatomical profile, a condition later identified as Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Born in 1859, Morris displayed unusual stretching of skin and joint mobility, which was measured and recorded during public exhibitions and medical observations. Photographs, sketches, and detailed notes documented limb extension, joint articulation, and skin resilience under controlled conditions. Observers performed repeated measurements, recording range of motion, elasticity, and muscle response, comparing results to normative anatomical data. Exhibition logs included timing, repetition, and visitor interaction, maintaining consistent documentation standards. Medical records emphasized tissue behavior, skeletal alignment, and connective tissue characteristics, focusing entirely on quantifiable traits rather than personal experience or moral interpretation. Measurements were cross-referenced across multiple locations, with archival material preserving visual and numerical data on skeletal and soft tissue structure. Reports also noted mobility patterns, posture, and functional adaptations to unusual flexibility. The collected documentation provides a structured record of extreme connective tissue variation, contributing to historical and medical understanding of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, offering a detailed reference for anatomical analysis and comparative study. Number 4. Alice Elizabeth Doherty. Thick hair coverage characterized Alice Elizabeth Doherty, a condition identified as hypertrichosis lanuginosa. Born in Minnesota in 1887, her facial and body hair growth was observed from early childhood, increasing in density and distribution over time. Medical and exhibition records documented limb proportions, hair patterns, and skeletal alignment, with sketches and photographs providing visual evidence of anatomical traits. Observers measured growth rates, hair texture, and density across multiple body regions, maintaining systematic logs for comparison with other documented cases. Public exhibitions were organized with schedules and records detailing posture, movement, and joint articulation. Reports focused on quantifiable physical traits, including hair length, distribution, and craniofacial structure, emphasizing objective analysis without narrative interpretation or moral commentary. Data were cross-referenced to identify patterns of progression and anatomical variation. Archival documentation preserved measurements, photographic records, and observational notes, providing structured information for medical study. Number 3. Barbara Van Beck. Courts across Europe took notice of Barbara Van Beck's unusual appearance, attracting attention from nobility and scholars during the 1600s. Born in Germany in 1629, she exhibited full-body hair growth consistent with hypertrichosis. Paintings and sketches from her appearances preserved detailed records of hair density, facial coverage, and limb growth patterns. Observers measured limb proportions, cranial dimensions, and posture, maintaining structured notes on mobility and physical balance. Her participation in formal exhibitions involved repeated documentation of gestures, seating posture, and joint articulation, with comparison to standard anatomical norms. Journals and court records preserved numerical data on hair length, distribution, and skeletal alignment. Sketches included detailed depictions of facial features and body positioning to maintain accuracy in anatomical reference. Archival material highlights systematic observation rather than personal narrative, moral interpretation, or emotional commentary. Number 2. Petrus Gonçalves. In the courts of Renaissance Europe, Petrus Gonçalves drew attention for his unusually dense hair covering most of his body. Born around 1537 on the Canary Islands, he inherited a condition now recognized as hypertrichosis, which also appeared in several of his children. Noble hosts and physicians recorded his daily routines, movement, and interaction with courtiers, often commissioning portraits to capture his distinctive appearance. Visual representations documented hair distribution, facial structure, and limb proportions, while written accounts noted height, posture, and joint alignment. Court physicians examined cranial and facial features, comparing them to common anatomical standards, and sketches preserved measurements of muscle development and bone structure. Petrus married and fathered children who displayed similar traits, prompting continued observation by scholars interested in hereditary patterns. Records from these interactions focused on empirical description rather than personal narrative or evaluation, capturing anatomical detail alongside social participation. Paintings, letters, and court chronicles together provide a historical record of congenital hypertrichosis, illustrating both physical characteristics and the integration of an unusual appearance into European noble life. Number 1. Mary Ann Bevan. Mary Ann Bevan's physical transformation drew attention after the onset of acromegaly in adulthood. Born in London in 1874, the condition gradually altered her facial structure and body proportions, producing noticeable enlargement of bones and soft tissue. By the 1920s, she began appearing in public exhibitions as a means of supporting her family, with organizers documenting posture, joint movement, and skeletal proportions. Photographs, medical notes, and exhibition records captured jaw prominence, forehead widening, and limb dimensions, providing detailed evidence of acromegalic progression. Physicians measured hand and foot size, cranial features, and overall body symmetry, recording changes over time for study. Reports emphasized empirical observation, highlighting quantifiable anatomical traits rather than personal narrative or moral commentary. Bevan's daily routines during exhibitions, including interaction with visitors and stage presence, were logged alongside visual documentation, ensuring accuracy in recording. From jaw-dropping facts to unbelievable human features, we've explored stories that defy imagination and push the boundaries of what we think is possible. If these incredible accounts fascinated you, share this video with friends who love the unusual and extraordinary, and help spread the wonder hit, like to show your support, and subscribe to never miss more astonishing stories that challenge reality. Drop a comment to tell us which story amazed you the most. Your thoughts matter and inspire future content. Thanks for being part of this adventure. Keep exploring, and remember, the extraordinary is closer than you think.